have one question. Why would you? I just have one question. Why are you pushing for people to buy properties in Greece when the Greek government today, tomorrow, the next month, next year decides to own it? You know, it is very difficult for us here in Canada or US of A to own properties in Greece because the laws change every month, every week, every God knows when. Isn't this so, rightly or wrong?
I don't agree 100%.
You do not agree 100%, but the fact is that the laws do change, and most of us that own property in Greece, unless we're sitting on the top of the board, we don't know what happens down there, do we?
You don't know exactly what
Thank you. I don't know, maybe
I'm telling you that Greece is a good
investment.
it's a good place to invest now because it's cheaper from the other European countries. And this is not going to stand for. If you want my personal opinion, I think the prices will go rapidly. There's going to be a rapid growth in the prices. But this is my personal opinion. And I don't have, it's not based somewhere. It's only me, what I'm seeing for the future. We're the cheapest country in Europe. And we have this Mimeo Acropolis that everybody knows it. Everybody comes in Greece to see this thing. The Greeks, we never go to Acropolis. You know, everybody has gone once by the school, yeah. But everybody that comes they turn crazy to see this in English. So as long the prices go up and people buy in Greece, I think it's a place that everybody should invest now.
So, Chris, clearly, speaking of the Acropolis, the advent of Airbnb has, in large part, been responsible for the increase of prices in Athens, would you say?
Yeah.
Airbnb is driving the increase in
property
values?
Yeah, because Airbnb made this 3 times, the prices go 3 times up, all the areas around the Acropolis.
And in determining market value for a particular property, Airbnb revenue is considered in that determination today?
Yes. Yeah.
Το εισόδημα από το Airbnb μπαίνει μέσα στο λογαριασμό για να αποφασίσουν τι αξία έχει το τάδε κτίριο σήμερα.
Yeah, of course. Of course, if you can use it as an Airbnb,
it will drive the value of that property. And that will also be taken into consideration upon purchasing a property. The 3%, what we call a welcome tax here, that will also be taken into consideration to decide what the fair market value is.
3%, it's only for when you buy it.
Exactly, when you buy it. So that when they talk about fair market value, supposing the purchase price is 200,000 euros, they won't necessarily base 3% on the purchase price. It will be the fair market price.
Yeah, the 3% will be the government-defined property.
Oh, so that will be the equivalent of the municipal evaluation here.
If you buy it at a bigger price and you show the money, you're going to pay the 3% on the bigger price of the defined.
So it's either the purchase price or the municipal evaluation, whichever of the two is highest.
Exactly. But what usually happens is you show the notary the maximum of the government-defined property.
And you pay that.
And then the extra you will give it around the
Cash on the side.
cash.
Oh, okay. Also known as cash money.
That's right. Yes.
Any other questions for Chris? We'll have a chance to go back if you have further questions that you may think of as we go. Let's move on to Christina. Christina, the microphone dικός σας.
How realistic is it to do a will from here if it requires so much procedure? Would it make more sense that once we're in Greece, we just do a will in Greece? That's it, that's all? Because it appears the steps are so many. If we're just sitting here in Canada and we've got property in Greece and we want to leave our property to our children, does it not make more sense that we just do a Greek will in Greece when we're over there one summer and it's sufficient? Because it appears that the process is so much, and going to the consulate here is like climbing Mount Everest, so, and the fees involved, so doesn't it just make more sense that we just do a will in Greece? That's it, that's all. versus having to put in all this effort with the consulate. And we're here residents, we have to find Greek citizens to sign this document. How realistic is that?
For doing any procedure in Greece, you just need to sign a power of attorney before the Greek consulate, and then all the other procedure is the same. If you go there or if you do it through a power of attorney, it's exactly the same. It doesn't make any difference. The only time that you will need extra is the time that you will need to get the power of attorney and sign a power of attorney before the consulate, nothing else. It's exactly the same.
So that power of attorney is received by somebody in Greece, and they just execute our will to our wishes, right? And it's registered in Greece.
Yeah. It's there are different ways of. You can have a Canadian power of attorney from a Canadian notary, but then you need to go and have it apostilled and officially translated, or to have another power of attorney to sign it before the Greek consulate, and that's completely valid and can be used in Greece. It's the plirexusio, what we call plirexusio, not the exousiodotisi or something. You have to sign it before the public notary, before the Greek consulate, and that's enough.
We can be critical of the consulate, the efficiency of the consulate.
No, I was implying it, I wasn't.
No, and it's all good.
It's a
But-
I just hear the horror stories. For me, it was easier to just go to Greece and prepare a will there. Whereas here, every time we have to get to the consulate, it's just another added step. And it's extremely frustrating to have to go that step. Many horror stories.
You know, the horror stories here, I agree with that.
Yes.
Horror stories in Greece
So.
Don't go there.
are all painful.
No, it's not a horror story, it's just an added step that's sometimes extremely frustrating.
Yeah, just a quick question. Is it
Frank,
a problem if you have two wills, one in Greece and one in Canada?
Yeah, it could be a problem because then, you need to go to the court, and if the way the inheritance is the same, the people that they inherit the properties are the same, then it's not a problem. But if you have two completely contradicting wills to each other, then you have a problem because you have to go to the court and prove which one is valid and which is not, which...
Well, if the one in Greece is for the properties in Greece and the assets in Greece, while the other one is for the stuff in Canada, is that?
Then it's not, it doesn't contradict each other, so then most probably you don't have a problem.
John? Just wanted to clarify one point, and I think maybe the question was misunderstood, but you mentioned that a power of attorney drafted here and properly authenticated by the authorities and then sent to Greece will allow you to basically do whatever the power of attorney states, but I believe you cannot have a will drawn up in Greece by power of attorney. You actually personally have to be there present to do your will.
No, you can have your will, you can sign your will and submit your will through the Greek consulate.
Right, that can be done here, and that was mentioned on your presentation, but you cannot have someone named as power of attorney in Greece to then sign your will in Greece with a power of attorney that you've drawn up here. That cannot be done.
You cannot sign a will or write a will through a power of attorney.
Correct,
You have
exactly.
to do it in person.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah, of course.
I just wanted to clarify that.
I would also like to clarify that if you have a Canadian will, this and you include property in Greece, it can be used in Greece. Since you are a resident of Canada, the law that applies for the inheritance law that applies for the whole procedure is the Canadian law. The only difference is that if it's about properties in Greece, you just need to follow the Greek procedure for transfer of property, but it doesn't confine the percentages that each person is going to inherit. So
is there a will and a will in Greece? that's indicating perhaps something different. So is there a will search that's done in Greece if a Canadian will appears in Greece and there is conflicting information? How do you do a will search like that?
Sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
Is there a will, if you have a will here,
Yeah.
if you have a will here that's authenticated by a Canadian resident here, and there's also a will in Greece that this person did, how do you do a will search like that in Greece? How do you know which will is the good will?
That's what I said before. This is a matter of the court to decide, and it depends. If both wills are saying exactly the same thing, then it's not a problem at all, because if they contradict one each other, then it's a problem of proof either at the Greek court or the Canadian courts. But I think it's mostly a problem of the Canadian courts to decide which one, because if the person before died was a resident of Canada, then the Canadian law applies for the whole procedure. In Greece, the only thing that it happens is that for the property that you have in Greece, the way that you transfer the property and the way that you register the new ownership, it happens according to the Greek rule, and the papers that you need are according to the Greek rule, but it doesn't affect what are you going to inherit. This is something for the Canadian law to figure out.
Here in Quebec we have, and specifically in Quebec, we have a registry for the wills, where every will that's drawn before a notary is registered, and then we can do a will search to determine, if the fact that someone has done a will, or it's known, or we're holding a copy of a will, and we want to know if that's in fact the last copy that was ever done, or the last will that was done by the deceased. We just do a will search at the registries. We have 2 registries for wills. Does Greece have a similar registry for wills done by notaries? Or is it just you have to know which notary possibly has done the will?
It's the second one that you said. We don't have a registry for the wills, but as long as somebody declares the death of a person at the relevant authorities, then immediately what it had submitted to a notary or the state, then it immediately opens and becomes public, and then you can go on and with acceptance of the inheritance.
So if someone's relative had done a will with a certain notary at some point, and that notary is no longer practicing, and we don't know who that notary might have been, then there might be a will out there that we can never trace.
No, this is not true, because actually the notaries, when they stop working, they transfer all their files to another notary.
But how would we so for instance, my grandfather, years ago, did a will, passed away. I have no idea which notary my grandfather might have gone to see for his will. And so now we have to now go into because I know in Greece the notaries are by region, so we have to go to that specific region and say, do you have a will for this person by presenting proof of death and so on?
As long as his death is declared in the Greek state, the notary is going to be informed about it, and is going to inform the family.
So who informs the notary?
The Greek state.
So the Greek state so we register the death
Exactly.
with the Greek state.
You have to register the death in the Greek state.
In the Greek state, and then the Greek state, then how does this?
They have a system, the notaries, that they get informed about.
Of someone's death.
Yeah.
And it goes by region, right? So for instance, someone that lived in a specific region of Greece, the notary for that region then would get advice, correct?
Exactly. And something else, when somebody dies in Greece and leaves a will, or he doesn't leave a will, what it happens is that you always have to submit at the court of first instance an application, so you will have a certificate that this is the only will, and this and then it becomes, they make the will public, so the people get to know about this, and if there are any other rights, somebody else can declare.
Let's say somebody, I'm a layman, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a notary. If somebody has a will here in Canada, okay, and dies tomorrow, and that particular person has property in Greece.
Speak on the microphone.
That particular person who dies here in Canada has property in Greece. What happens to that property, to the people that live, the children or whatever? Simply, don't go into big details. The person, he has drawn a will here in Canada. If my wife dies or your wife dies, she has property in Greece. Okay, so tomorrow, what happens to this property that's supposedly given to her children? That is my simple question. Don't go into big...
Let's assume that there is...
I think this is the most simplest thing, without going into big details. I don't know.
So I think just also for the sake of time, I think the takeaway, Christina, if I'm right, I think the takeaway and the main element from what I gather from everything that was just said is that you have to register that death in Greece. That's step one.
After the person died.
The person who had the heirs should have the reflex to start by registering that person's death in Greece, which will trigger some kind of procedure, whether it be notifying notaries or otherwise, but that's step one in order to be able to then identify what was owned in Greece and how you can transfer it to the appropriate heirs. I think that's my takeaway from this, at least, is that would be step one.
So I think it's a question in the back.
Regardless if there is no will in I just want to add on to what you said. So we have a will here, person passes away, the will said that nothing is mentioned about the property in Greece, but everything is to go to the children according to the will in Canada. So nothing is mentioned about the property in Greece. What happens to the property in Greece after the person that has passed away has been declared as registered? Yeah.
If nobody claims the stage.
Then, what it happens, it's going to happen exactly what it happens to Canada. If somebody has a property and doesn't declare, doesn't include it in his will or her will, who is going to inherit this according to the Canadian law? The same is going to happen about the property in Greece. It's all Canadian law. Since the last residence was in Canada, it's all about Canadian law. Greece has nothing to do about all this. The only thing that Greece steps in and puts its rule, it's only about the procedure for the transfer of the property of one person to the other. Only about this, and the paperwork and how do you register your land in the land registry? It's about this.
So your wishes in Canada and your will be respected in Greece? Your wishes in Canada, as per your will be respected by the Greek authorities. You don't have to have a will in Greece for the Greek property.
Even though the property in Greece or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Anything else before we move on to Irene briefly? Great. So if you guys want, the panel will still be here. I'd like to give Irene Koumanianou a few minutes to brief us on some accounting issues. Can
you explain that last point that you would have to incorporate?
Yes.
So you would incorporate and then sort of transfer some of these properties into incorporation?
Yes.
And then that would be two separate entities?
You don't have to actually transfer them. You can have a corporation and just manage property.
So I myself personally can do two under my name?
Yes.
And then another two under the corporation?
Yes. Yes.
Would you be, sorry, go ahead.
No. Yes.
Would you be exempt of the taxes afterwards?
No, then which is 29%.
Instead of 35?
Yes. 29% on all of it.
On all of it?
Yes, and the dividends are 15%. But for 2019, it will be 28%, and every year for 5 years, it's going to go one less. It's going to be 28 this year, 27 next year, and it will be declining 1% for 5 years.
Because you said earlier that the taxes would be like the same as the rentals.
For individual though,
Okay.
not for corporations. Corporations is totally different,
A
yes.
little bit less.
Yeah.
What we have here is a lodgement. They don't have something like that in Greece. So I would have to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer would have to go after the tenants.
Be very careful who your tenants are in Greece before they're here. Any other questions before we go to?
I have a question. If you have a rental property with several apartments that are making an income totaling around 30,000 euros, is it worth incorporating and just having the corporation kind of control the properties? No? Okay. Thank you.
So, thanks so much. I'd just like to turn to George Marcos. Maybe George can just tell us a little bit about what he'd like to speak to us about, and maybe summarize and clarify some of what he's heard this evening. Hiding those sums from authorities.
Well, yes, but I think what a lot of people here are probably going to find themselves in more often is things that they inherit, right? So things that they didn't even know that perhaps their parents or grandparents had over there, that has been earning income over there, and now they inherit it and want to bring it back, and it's not so easy or so clear. So the criteria and the way they program is all the same. Administratively, I tell you that when it comes to estates, they are a little bit more lenient because obviously somebody just wakes up and has this problem in their hands one day. But it's not just in the context of intentional conduct. If you wake up and you've inherited something like this, then it might be something worth considering in the short term.
Great.
So, I want to take this opportunity first and foremost once again to thank Andre for putting it together. I think it was highly informative and very useful for most of us in this room and for others. I want to let people know that Sunday there's another session at 4 p.m. At Chateau as well. And if people missed it, that you know, that would like to participate and inform themselves, then they're free to come in Sunday at 4, and they can sign up on the website. Right, Andre?
Correct.
I want to thank George, I want to thank Irene, I want to thank Christina, I want to thank Chris. I want to tell you that the panel will be around, that Andre has made arrangements for coffee and tea and I don't know what else back there.
There's some more wine for you back there.
There's more wine, oh my goodness. And the panel will be around if you want to speak to them offline, informally. And most importantly, I want to thank our honorary Greek, not of the year, of the millennia, Tony Lefebvre for coming out and helping us out. And if any of us have shipped money offshore, it's in large part because Tony helped us finance projects that were profitable. And so not only is it his name day today, and we want to wish him χρόνια πολλά, να χαίρεστε τη γιορτή σου, but also thank him for helping us with financing. And he and his bank are still around for those purposes. Yes, Hans, go ahead.
I'd just like to mention that while our guests are still here in Canada, there's ladies outside, there's people, if you want a private meeting with them to discuss your own affairs, please register. Somebody from our office will contact you, we'll try to get an appointment for you while they're still in hand before. Chris and Christina are leaving on the 23rd of January, and Irene will be here until the 26th, so please take advantage of that. If you have things to deal with in Greece while they're here, instead of going with the back and forth through Skypes and all that, take that opportunity as well.
And I hope for their sake it warms up over the next couple of days, because they're here sort of the coldest days of this winter thus far. It's unbelievable. Thank you all so much.